Hello and welcome to Popcast on the Rocks for this fine Saturday morning. This is episode 29. Earlier than normal. Good morning,
That's,
Andrea.
that's right. Good morning, John. How are you on this fine Saturday?
Good. Yep, pretty good. Busy, but making things happen.
That's right.
Getting yeah. I definitely feel productive on a Saturday, waking up earlier, doing stuff yet. So
Would you normally not be up by now?
I'd be up now. Just like I've
Okay.
done a lot of things already or
Okay.
whatever, So it's like
I
what time?
gotcha.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I go to bed at 1. I get up at 11.
That's actually not terribly far off from some of my nights. Especially last night because I was up till 1 watching something that we're going to talk about later in our show today.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. All right.
yeah. So
So
I have not been as productive this morning. I am still waking up, facing the day, but I'm
okay.
getting there.
So do you have coffee in hand then? Is that your drink of choice now?
Yes, indeed. Coffee
Nice.
and water, because you need to be hydrated. So
Yep. Yep. I just have tea, just green tea.
okay,
Cold
all
tea.
right.
So yep.
Like caffeinated tea or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
okay, all right, all right. You're
Yep.
still one of the caffeine tribe. That's good.
Yep. I find that the like iced green tea that I get or whatever is really good amount of caffeine spread throughout the whole thing.
Oh,
So
sure.
you get this nice balance of hydration with like, sometimes, I need some caffeine, you down an espresso or whatever,
Hmm.
and now you're just buzzed and not feeling well.
Right,
It's
jittery,
just,
and
yeah.
twitchy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, yep. Well, anyways, we're gonna try to keep this episode a little bit shorter than
Hmm.
than normal here. We'll see. Maybe you'll all respond to that and be like, finally, they didn't go 3 hours. Um, but just a few things of news, and then we'll end up getting spoilery after a while,
Yeah, for
as you
sure.
alluded to with The Old Guard on
Hmm.
Netflix. So, um, firstly, did you get to see the PlayStation State of Play event at all, or see any recaps or anything like that?
Yeah, I saw a couple recaps and I saw about half of the actual event. So
Okay, sure.
most of it, some of it, kind of.
Anything catch your eye?
Um, yeah, I mean pretty early on in the event itself, but I saw that there was a lot of Crash Bandicoot play happening,
Hmm.
which was kind of fun because I always enjoyed Crash Bandicoot. That was one of the kind of fun games that I used to play.
Sure, yeah.
So that was fun for me because I was already interested in that coming out. Um, and then watching like actual gameplay, I thought that was a good way to like lead off the event.
Yep. Yeah, no, I played a little bit of Crash when I was young. I'm glad that even though it's a multi-platform thing now,
Hmm.
that they're still showing it on a Sony presentation. It
Right.
feels like such a PlayStation thing
Right.
yet. Um, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't just a little trailer. There's plenty of content there,
Hmm.
so I thought that was good. Um, the Pathless stood out as a game that I'd be interested in. I had seen this before. I
Sure.
think it was first revealed, if I remember correctly, on Apple's stage. It's coming to Apple Arcade when it comes out. But we got to see a little more what it is,
Hmm.
some more gameplay of that as well. And I just think it's a very pretty game,
Hmm.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, so I'm excited. They're people that made Abzu and I think Journey 2 and stuff, maybe.
Hmm.
So they're well regarded in the indie industry.
Absolutely.
Um, Spelunky 2. I haven't played those, but they do look fun. Ashley even
Hmm.
thought that looked fun.
Okay.
So another good, well-known indie title. Uh, Genshin Impact. That's another one that caught my eye. I mean, I'd heard of this a while ago. It's
Sure.
basically a Zelda Breath of the Wild clone
Yep.
buff. Um, obviously they're adding things too, it's like,
Right.
but as far as art style and everything is very, very clearly, we'll just say nicely that it's inspired by. Um,
It's a very
so
delicate way to phrase it.
yeah. And um, but yeah, I mean, Vader Immortal, the VR thing coming to PlayStation. Some people are big into auto chess, that announcement.
Hmm.
I think there was a lot here considering they did set the expectation that this is going to be mostly PS4 games and stuff we've already heard about.
Right. Yeah. Nothing very new.
Yep.
It was
So
still it was still good though. Like
yeah,
I felt
yeah,
like it didn't need to be like, oh my gosh, we're gonna announce, 50 new titles for the event still to be good.
yep, yep. No, it was good. I guess the only part I got bored with
Hmm.
is Godfall. There was
Yeah,
like
sure.
gameplay and I just that game has never grabbed me yet.
Sure.
Ever since it first was shown off, it looks like the world is pretty, but I don't know, the characters just it's not looking like my thing.
Sure.
So, but
Yeah.
maybe it's a game for you. It's kind of a
Mhm.
Borderlands thing, but with swords.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. I mean, I already, have obviously amazing knife skills we know
There
from
you go.
Borderlands. So,
Gonna translate
right,
for what?
exactly. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, not everybody has to be interested in every game, and I think it's, but always going to be somebody interested in every game, even if it's not everybody. So,
Yep, yep, absolutely. So that was about that event. Excited for more coming soon.
hmm.
In other gaming news, but on the other side of the fence, so to speak.
Yeah.
And our producer had mentioned this in like last episode off camera think or something, but Microsoft's Project xCloud was pulled from iOS,
Yep.
which didn't effectively make any difference because there was only one game playable at the time anyways.
Hmm.
So um it wasn't gonna, I mean, no one was gonna pay for that if that's what it ended up releasing like.
Right.
But it's definitely sparked a discussion on their rules and how they manage the app store, and I think there's a lot of different takes on how that can come down, or how
Hmm.
you can come down on that. But
Hmm.
yeah, Microsoft's xCloud and Google's Stadia and PlayStation Now, none of those are available on a platform that in the US anyways is, 40 some percent of the mobile phone market.
Right.
Um, how do you think this is going to pan out?
Um, I mean, I think it's a mistake, obviously. I mean,
Mhm.
if, I mean, like you said, if it's not that effective, I mean, in the terms of like there's only one game, that's not really anything big, but like like, is it a permanent pull? Is it we're pulling back to do something redesigned, put it back? Like we're going to
No,
offer more games?
it's so Microsoft would put more games on there, but
Okay.
they were not allowed to,
Okay.
because basically you can go on the App Store and you can download a game,
Hmm.
but downloading um, an app that lets you then play a whole bunch of other games is not allowed in their rules, I
Okay.
guess. Now, they came up with a statement that said that, um, with our app store, we're able to vet every app, and
Hmm.
basically, they're the gatekeepers and they get to decide what is appropriate or not living up to the whatever standards and all that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And they can't do that in a thing like this.
Okay.
But that doesn't really make sense because they don't vet every Amazon Prime show. You
Right.
know,
True.
they don't vet every Netflix show or thing on Hulu. So you're not vetting content in that way.
Right.
Um, I would understand this if this was a way to download games.
Mm-hmm.
That you download this app and now you can download games because that's basically a secondary app store, and
Right.
they're not going to allow for that.
Okay.
Google does those kinds of things because there's Samsung App Store on their device,
Mm-hmm.
with Android, but Apple does not play that game.
Mm.
But these aren't downloads. You're not downloading another app to your phone and
Right.
installing something. You are streaming, and it's really no different than streaming a video or music file. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think this is going to hold. I
Yeah.
think that game streaming is a big deal, and though maybe they see issue with this policy that's been in place since 2010 or whatever, I think they're gonna. I just don't think it's gonna work out for them.
10
They're
years
gonna
is
see.
a long time not to realize you have an issue with a policy.
Yep. Mhm.
Just
Well, and
saying.
now they're having a I don't know when it starts exactly, but soon there's a new process in place to which developers can challenge
Oh, okay.
app removals and policies and such.
Sure.
So before there really wasn't much discourse, or like if you were a developer, you put up an app and they said you broke our rules, they take it down and there's nothing you can really do other than like, hey, what's going on, and trying to get communication. Now
Mm-hmm.
there'll be a formal process to which you can go and make your claim.
Well, that's good at
So,
least. I mean,
mhm.
at least you have an avenue to try and fight that.
Yep.
Like a clear avenue.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Game streaming it's going to be a thing, and
Yeah,
I think Apple will eventually have to cave to that.
I agree.
So, so next thing, just because it is game relevant,
Absolutely.
and I think that Inside Gaming did a pretty good video breaking
Mm-hmm.
down how it is game relevant. We've
Mm-hmm.
had an executive order that's supposed to come in place
Mm-hmm.
short in 45 days, I think, like that basically is banning transactions
Mm-hmm.
within like TikTok and WeChat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the argument for that is because they're Chinese
Mm-hmm.
companies. Well, China is heavily involved in all of our entertainment, particularly in gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And though this executive order does not currently cover precisely companies like Tencent, with some of the wording, as vague as it is, you could see it
Yeah.
very easily being included soon.
Right.
And
Yeah, I was gonna say the way that the executive order is worded, it could actually, even now,
mhm,
be stretched to apply to
yep,
not just WeChat and TikTok, but to like the parent companies, and we can't have any transactions with them, which of course includes Tencent.
yep. So it is what it is. I mean, we'll see if this comes to pass. I can see a lot of different viewpoints, and I've listened to a lot of different ones on this over the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I end up coming down to is you can like or dislike or see a threat or not see a threat in doing business with a communist regime,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of too late to put the genie back in the bottle, as
Right.
far as I can see,
Right.
like Chinese companies are so involved in all of our media, that I don't know how you just end that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Do you remember, man, I think this was at least a few years back now. There was an app that was like kind of all the rage for a little bit where you would like take a picture of yourself and you could like age yourself up and down.
Oh
It was
yeah.
like a faces something. And then everybody was like trying it. And then suddenly we were like, oh my God, it's like a Russian app and they're collecting all your information and they're using your face. And everybody was like, oh shit. And they just deleted it en masse. And like that was the end of that. That sort of thing is like very controllable because like that app was out for just like a hot minute. people were signing up, and then the information got circulated that it was a Russian app and you were using, or you were sharing your data with a Russian company. Holy crap, everybody delete this.
Sure.
That's the sort of thing you can contain. We've been using these. I mean, if we're just solely looking at like TikTok and WeChat, we've been using these for years now. Like, they're not just like the hot app of the minute. They've been around for a long time. So like, honestly, it's way too late for this sort of thing. Even if we weren't talking about like all the other apps, that we interact with that are created or run by, Chinese government or Chinese companies. Like, you're right. This is way too late. This is not the sort of situation where, this is a new thing and we can quick stop it before it gets out of hand.
Yep.
So
I think, to me, what it comes down is people need to try to be informed in what they're doing, where they're sending their data. So your example with the app there, it was the same with, Google released a museum art app or whatever, arts and culture app or something like that. And you could scan yourself, take a picture, and it would compare you and find what you look like from a Renaissance painting somewhere or whatever,
yes. Yep.
And it's like, that's not just they're doing that for fun.
Right.
I mean, there's a point to have that. They have your face. They whatever. Like, you can think that's fine or not. It doesn't matter. But the point is, be aware of that.
Exactly.
Be aware of when, like, I'm not going to buy a phone if I don't have to that is from a Chinese company. I have other alternatives that I can use. And you just got to make that choice yourself.
Right.
I think in my book, the only prerogative that probably the federal government has and stuff like this would be when, like, if they're purchasing infrastructure, as part of a talk with Huawei before, 5G chips or whatever. Well, maybe as the United States military, don't buy 5G modems from China or something like that. And it's tough if you find that things are really a threat or it's in a difficult situation, because it's not like here. If you give your information to Google and then the United States government wants it, they don't have to give it to them. Like, there's a process then in which, they might get strong armed or different things. Like, it could be difficult, but we saw this with Apple. Government wants to get into an iPhone, they want whatever, and Apple says, well, we can go through this process to help you out here, but we can't, we're not breaking our security system for you. Like, there's recourse there. It's not the same thing in China. And it's difficult because we're competing essentially against a government. Here, it would be unfair to have one company backed by the United States government and one company not, because you'd have the unlimited resources of the United States government and the taxpayer to, well, we are competing against the largest country in the world, basically. So I'm not saying it's not a difficult situation. I'm just saying, like I said before, I think it's a little late on a governmental level to put the genie back in the bottle.
So. I mean, I just have a feeling like this executive order is not enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you said, it's too late. It's very narrow in scope. In terms of, like, it's not like, oh, like, check out all these other apps that are possibly, from China, might be, that the Chinese government might have access to, and it's not like educational. It's not like, hey, everybody, we've noticed that this is a problem. Here's some things you might want to consider. It's just like, nope, straight up ban on these very specific things. But again, if people, don't know about like other apps or other technology, then, what are we going to do there? Are we going to, like, encourage people to go, like, think about their app purchases or their, sharing their information with certain apps? Or is it just like, nope, we're just going to pretend like just TikTok and WeChat are the problem?
Yep.
So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean it should be, we're seeing already some companies move more stuff to India for
Yep.
production, like those are the kinds of things that need to happen then.
Hmm.
Diversify your investors, diversify where you manufacture, that kind of thing. I mean, never want all your eggs in one basket, let alone
Right.
whatever regime or country you're dealing with.
Right.
Um, because things can go south or whatever. So
Hmm.
um, I think it needs to be a conscious movement if if the if America wants this done, to make different choices,
Hmm.
and it's not going to work on some sort of one size fits all order.
Yes, I agree.
So I personally don't think it's going to actually happen, if I had to guess. But
Well, doesn't i- isn't there some part of the order that like bans TikTok and WeChat if Microsoft doesn't acquire them?
yeah, TikTok is
So
safe
it's
basically if Microsoft buys enough
right,
of their assets to operate
right.
them
Okay.
in America, Canada, Australia, and a
Yep.
few other places or something. Yep.
So yeah, so it's basically a strong arm.
hmm WeChat, don't use it. No one use WeChat. Come on now. I mean, we got use Signal. Text messaging is better. Whatever,
Yeah.
like WeChat's like Facebook done all kinds of terrible things
Hmm.
in the past. So they're shady. You shouldn't be on them anyways. But
Yeah, I actually don't know anybody who uses WeChat, but I mean, obviously people do.
I mean, it's huge in
Hmm.
China,
Yeah.
um, in other Asian countries, and I don't know about Europe for sure,
I feel like
but
Europe's still on like WhatsApp.
maybe, yeah,
I
maybe that
feel
might be the deal.
like most of my relatives that I know in Europe have WhatsApp and they're always asking me if I'm
Yep,
on WhatsApp. So,
yep. WhatsApp, Europe, um, WeChat, China, Line, Japan,
yeah.
um, and then America's, I don't know what, Facebook Messenger, I guess, but
Yeah, I
that's
guess so.
so. Yeah. Anyways, if this comes to pass, and if things were gonna get strict with it, you goodbye to a bunch of your games. Is
Yeah.
all I'm saying. Goodbye to a bunch of Hollywood movies. They're
Mhm.
gonna change. It's gonna be different because you're losing a giant investor
Mhm.
um, in all kinds of things. That
Yes.
yeah. So um, that's that. And then I mean, I thought there was some other news that I was missing this week that I just didn't put in here, but I couldn't think of it, so
Sure.
I left it out. Didn't go searching for something that wasn't important, I guess.
For sure.
Um, but you found this movie or mentioned it the other
Mhm.
week. Um, The Old Guard.
Yeah, it was
How's
popping
that
up
going?
all over my Netflix top 10 for a while there. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I feel like I enjoyed the preview of the movie. I love Charlize Theron. So, and the plot sounded interesting. So I was like, yeah, let's give it a watch. So yeah, watch that as I said earlier. Finished that at 1 a.m. last night. I thought I was gonna I thought I was gonna like start it and be like, okay, there's like a good spot to pause and then I can just like finish it in the morning before the show. And then I just was like, no, like everything just needs to keep going. Like I need to keep watching. So I thought it was like a well-paced movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like overall, I mean, I have specific thoughts as well. But like every time I
Yeah.
thought like, oh, here like I could pause here. And I was like, no, they're going into another situation that I kind of want to find out what happens here too. So,
Yep. It certainly kept moving. That's for sure.
mhm. Yeah. And it didn't feel I mean, as long as we're talking pace wise, it didn't feel either too slow or too fast. Like everything was just like, kind of jumping from scene to scene. I thought like
Yeah.
they're mostly tied well. There was like maybe a few kind of like, oh, okay, now we're here. Um, but yeah,
Yep.
overall, I thought everything moved very well.
Yep. No, I'd agree. And I'm always the kind of a stickler on pacing. I think
Hmm.
sometimes when that's messed up, that really wrecks a film. Uh,
Yes.
So yeah, no, they did well there. Um, I saw no notes. I was like, oh, I was gonna look at your notes quickly here,
I
and
know, but like, what could I cover that you hadn't? You had like 3 pages of notes. Are you
yeah, I
adapting my
did.
like stream of consciousness style?
Yeah, well, I did hear. I don't know. It just things kept popping in my mind. So yeah, that's kind of where it went. Um, I don't know if there's any big bullet points you want to mention with it. I guess we should say, I mean, spoilers if you haven't seen this movie.
Right.
For spoilers for The Old Guard on Netflix, starring Charlize Theron. Um, it's a movie where we find out that it's you get these people that are basically immortal. They've been
Mhm.
living for a very long time. Charlize Theron is the oldest,
Mhm.
and a new one of them shows up, and
Mhm.
they're being hunted. So I
Yes.
guess I had a lot of little things, like you say, your stream of consciousness or whatever. So I couldn't even hardly go to what I was talking about at some point, at some
Sure.
points. But what do you think of this setup? Like, um, I know it's not new necessarily in the terms of you have someone that is different,
Mhm.
and therefore they are hunted because they're different for
Mhm.
they want to be studied. They're going to be studied. And
Right.
certainly you can see this kind of thing maybe in the past just with the condition, some sort of illness or whatever. We're going to take you against your will, and we're going to poke and prod and
Mhm.
torture and all kinds of things to try to learn more about your condition.
Right.
Do you think today that would still apply?
Yes.
And would it be different here versus the rest of the world? And to what lengths?
So I absolutely bought the essential plot here. In terms of a like big pharma kind of company thinking like, okay, I have proof that this person can't die. I need to study them and I need to find out, the genetic code so that we can, possibly heal illness, heal sickness, both short and long term, improve the human condition, extend life, possibly, longer than, we ever thought possible. Absolutely. I totally buy that. When I think of, things that are on the forefront of technology right now, like CRISPR DNA and things like that, absolutely this makes sense to me. So, and I think that it would make sense in any sort of country because I think a lot of different countries compete against each other, to be the ones producing the latest, vaccine against or, treatment for so that they can patent, sell, and especially in the United States, make a lot of money.
Mhm.
So, because there are, I think, stricter laws in other countries on how much you can profit from certain drugs and
Mhm.
treatments. And I think we're a little looser in the United States about that. Which I mean, I don't want to get too deep into like, are you for or against that kind of thing? But
Mhm.
just you know, to address your
Yep.
question of like, would this work here? Absolutely, I totally see this. Um, I think to kind of skip to one of the big plot points for just a minute. I want to move through some of the whole movie because I thought there were really great moments throughout the entire thing. To look at that so we learn early on that this group of immortals is being hunted. They've been betrayed. Um, they're trying to like go on this mission to save a group of kidnapped children. They're betrayed. It's basically just a setup to prove that they're immortal so that they can show this big pharma buyer, yep, like this is actually real and we need to capture them and we need to study them. The guy who sets them up, I really enjoyed his role in the movie because he spent so much time researching this team, their
Mhm.
leader, Charlize Theron in particular, putting together like the pieces of her life, finding her mentions throughout history, um, which for her is quite extensive. I mean, they don't quite go to exactly where she's from, but like ancient Greece would not be a far off guess. And puts together like this whole board of like all the good things she's done throughout the century. She's not just like living and being an immortal. She's like trying to use it to do something good for humanity, save people. Like he points out that, the grandson of people she saved goes on to like invent, the cure for this disease, or rescues, this group of soldiers in a critical mission, in World War II or something. So it's he puts all this together and sees the way that she's living her life, and it's benefiting humanity. And it's really an interesting question to me that he doesn't go like, okay, I'm just gonna like leave her alone because she does all these great things for humanity already. It's like, no, I need you to do more. Like, the good you're doing for humanity isn't enough, and I need you to do more right now.
Hmm.
Um so I find that very interesting, because when is enough enough? Like, when is a person's, goodness and giving back to the community enough? When can you just, be like, wow, why can't you just appreciate the good that you do, instead of being like, oh, look at all these wonderful things, no more, please.
Yep.
So
Um,
I thought that was an
yeah, I
interesting
see that.
approach.
He's that was, I guess, my issue with him, and then the guy in their group, one of them that was the betrayer.
Oh, Booker,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I was a little confused with their motives. I think I commented a couple times of how, man, they don't seem to really think anything through, because you got at one point, so he betray Booker betrays Charlize and goes in, and then it doesn't take much, and all of a sudden he's fighting. Let her go, let her
Yeah,
go. So, what did you think was gonna happen here? Like, you
right.
went through this, all this up, and then I don't know. It was a big, quick turnaround, so that seemed weird. And
Yeah,
then um, what's this CIA guy's name? Um,
Copley.
Cockley, yeah. So he I bought him as a bad guy right away because it seems like he's always a bad guy. Um, but then, yeah, then he's supposed to have a little more depth. But
Mhm.
I was confused. Is he acting rogue here on his own, or is this a directive? You know,
Mhm.
is because all of a sudden he started getting bossed around. He's like, this is not what we agreed to
Right.
by the Merrick guy or whatever.
Right.
And we're going to knock you out and we're going to do our own thing.
Mhm.
So you're telling me if this is a directive, the CIA is going to let this fly? Or
Yeah.
are you doing this behind their back and you've done all this research and everything,
Right.
this sting operation? I didn't I didn't buy how that worked.
Yeah, I bought his character in the overall sense of, he lost his wife, um,
Mhm.
obviously horribly painfully, because she was struck by a disease that, left her unable to talk and communicate and move, and that was hard for him. So I get his ulterior, like, I want to study these people, give them to, big pharma because they could cure disease, and, hopefully somebody else won't have to go through what I went through. Bought
Yeah.
that part of it. What was unclear, I agree, is the CIA sanctioned or not? Like, sometimes, like in the beginning of the movie where they, first meet Copley again, and they're like, oh, we have a new mission, and, I'm not happy about, working for the CIA again. And he's like, oh, I'm not like actually back with the CIA yet
Yeah.
because, I've taken some time. But then, like, at various points throughout the movie, they'd be like, oh, like, I didn't think the CIA did this, or like, oh, like, what about the CIA? And then you were like, but I thought he wasn't working for the CIA. Like, what would it matter if the CIA did this or didn't do this, if we already established that he isn't working for the CIA? So that was very confusing. Like, yes, is he working for the CIA? Is this sanctioned, or is this like him, just kind of allowing himself to be recruited by this Merrick guy and use his skills to do this?
Yep.
So that was not clear, and that was a little bit of a continuity issue.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Well, at least she ended on a sentence. It ended like right on the sentence and not in the middle of things. So that's good anyways. Well, maybe she'll be back shortly. We'll see. It was going so well once again. Um, oh, so basically, I guess I'll give my counter while she's gone to, my post question before. Again, we're talking about The Old Guard on Netflix. So that's what the spoilers are for. Of whether this is a realistic scenario that these people that can live forever, obviously that part not being realistic, but still, if that were to be the case,
Hey,
like really close now. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right.
I'm back.
Um, so I was just going to I was updating people like what we're talking about. And then
Yeah,
I was going to give my kind of counter to my question before of how, is this other than the immortal part, is this a plausible, realistic thing that people would be captured and studied and stuff yet today? And
sure.
I know I've seen that before, and I'm not saying it's implausible, and I guess it makes the more interesting story, but I don't know if that's necessarily how it would always go. I mean,
Hmm.
firstly, you'd have these people that have been around a long time,
Hmm.
and they understand how, with science progressing, that possibly the study of their genetic material would be important and it'd be a thing almost offered up. And I think
Hmm.
that to me, it's like when they're going through so many things and knocking them out, it's like, just take a sample of blood. Can they
Hmm.
just take a sample of blood? But no, they want to like literally have you alive and squirming and torturing on a table.
Hmm.
Like to
Yeah.
me, there's a strong possibility that you don't happen across the maniacal Bond-like villain guy
Hmm.
that heads up a company that is ready to actively torture for individual beings in
Hmm.
the hopes that they can create some sort of new drug.
Hmm.
Versus like let's get a sample of your blood. Let's take a bone marrow sample.
Hmm.
Like that's is take these things that we don't have to keep you suspended and alive on a
Right.
table shoving needles in you and see how you respond.
Right, but then you do run into issues of consent. I mean, are these people obligated to do that? Like, is anybody obligated to do that? I don't think so. I mean, I would
No, I
I would
agree. I
I
agree.
like, that's I think where this kind of comes in. Like, they clearly don't want to, because I think they don't think it would matter, because this immortality is just so like random. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, it's not like, oh, they grew up and they developed it, or like they were born with it, or there's some sort of like logical sense. It just like happens to them one time when they were supposed to die, but they don't.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yes and no. Like, how far would a company go if they knew this existed and everybody was saying no to them? Like,
Mhm.
sure, if somebody said
But
yes, like that would be a different notion of like why didn't Booker then, if he's so ready to die, like he's just really tired of being an immortal, which again, understandable viewpoint, like that's not my issue with him. Um, if he just wanted to like hand himself over, just do it then. Like,
r-
tell Big Pharma, too bad, my other colleagues or whatever you want to call them, don't want to do this, but I'm willing, and isn't one better than none?
well,
Like,
now the other thing is, why do we need all of them necessarily? And were they asked? Were they ever asked? What did the
sure.
government that knows they exist now or whatever,
Right.
these other companies, did anyone, roll out the red carpet and say,
Right.
"Hey, welcome. I mean, life of luxury ahead for you if we just have some blood samples on the
Right.
regular."
Right.
Like, was that attempted? To me, it was like, we're so worried that someone else is going to discover that these people exist. We're
Right.
going to capture them by force, and we're going to expend the lives of dozens of people
Yep.
in the hopes that we can capture them before we've even asked them if they'd like to participate.
Right.
It's
Right. Yeah, I mean, the show obviously never makes it clear or brings up even the possibility of the fact that like they could have been asked and said no.
Mhm.
So, clearly this guy, Merrick, Big Pharma guy, is just running on the assumption of like they're saying no and we just need to take them and this is my right
They're
to
saying
have
no
them
to the
and
torture
my
that I'm going to
right.
enjoy doing. But
Shocker.
yeah,
Shocker. So yeah, so his assumption is this is my right because I know it exists, so I must have them. My competitors must not have them. I do
right.
understand the mindset of like if you found like a cure for something or like you had this like proprietary information, I do understand like your competitors not having it. I get that. But that's I'm talking like that's abstract, you know. These are people. You can't just like take people and be like, "Well, my competitors can't have these people."
Right. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean,
Um,
I bought it, but it was a little tricky to buy everything. Like the essentials were there, they just maybe hadn't quite worked out some detail.
mm, yep.
Or perhaps, editing room cuts, cut a scene that would have explained some of this for us.
Yep. And that was my, I guess, while we're kind of on Merrick there and stuff,
Yeah.
I guess it to me brings up the overall probably biggest issue I had with the film
Oh,
is
okay.
tone
Mm.
or what they're going for here. Because to me, it's like, um, is it, there's bits of Jason Bourne in here. It's kind of
Mhm.
gray, gritty, like on the run
Mhm.
sort of things. But then there's
Yep.
also John Wick moments. They actually steal a couple moves from there and stuff, and
Mhm.
it's like focusing on action sequences.
Mhm.
Or is it like an Avengers film? And it's some sort of mix of all of them, where
Yeah.
we're this superhero team, but we're being really serious and like we have some emotional elements, but then the
Right.
villain comes around and he's like really a villain. He's like a some sort of Bond villain,
Mhm.
that I don't know if it feels grounded to me in the rest of the film. So I
Sure.
just didn't know what to think of it tonally,
Mhm.
um, at different times.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. There's certainly borrowed elements from other types of series. It didn't quite have its own unique stamp. Um,
Mm.
and I mean, does it need to? I don't know, but it probably would have been a stronger film if it like didn't remind you so much of, a lot of other action franchises,
Hmm.
which I completely get.
Because I like the action sequences and
Yeah.
they reminded me of John Wick things in ways, but
Mhm.
that works in John Wick because there's a group of people that get together that's what can we do to show kung fu in a really cool way,
Sure.
have fun with it, experiment, and there's a bit of a tongue in cheek. It's
Mhm.
over the top. Um it's not fully believable. People,
Sure.
like it's a heightened reality,
Sure.
and there's a humor to it.
Mhm.
So that, but then something like Jason Bourne is a lot more like, no, I need passports to get through places,
Yep.
and cops are on me, and like they have heightened action sequences too, but there's is definitely lesser, uh,
Yes.
and so I didn't. It needed to be a more fun film to
Mhm.
fit those action sequences
Yeah.
because they're not realistic.
Mhm.
Um, but they were fun. But the rest
Mhm.
of the movie needs to be fun with it, I
Yes.
guess.
Yes, I
That
agree
makes
with that.
sense.
One thing I did really enjoy, as far as action sequences go, and I thought was very believable. I mean, like you said, I enjoyed the action sequences as well. I thought they were well done. I did really enjoy and I don't know if this was, maybe a combination of the acting, directing, just the way it was shot. I really felt that they gelled as a team. Like everybody
Mm.
worked so seamlessly
Sure.
as a team. And I really felt that. And it felt believable to me if these people had been, working together for how many years. I mean, obviously, like, they're different ages, but they said the last one was in like 1814 or something like that. They found the last guy, Booker. So it's like, yeah, I mean, at the very least, you've been working together for over 200 years. Of course, you would just like totally be like, yep, he's gonna go there, so I'm gonna go here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hand him, the new clip, and I'm gonna, have his back here. I
Yep.
really enjoyed that working well, and I thought they really sold that element of it, because sometimes you can tell when like groups work together, it's like, oh boy, like this isn't, as seamless or as, just like instinctual that you would think it would be, and they sold that element of it.
Nope, I agree. And they just some of the camera work in the scenes
Mhm.
was good.
Yeah.
I think things were clear.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know what who the team was that did those, but I did appreciate it. They made everybody look convincing.
Mhm.
Like you say, play a role. I liked all that.
Mhm.
Um, I had a lot of other like little just nitpicks throughout the film or whatever, just little
Sure.
squabbles. I had just buy some holsters. You're putting these guns in your pants all the
Yeah.
time. I mean, you're not just some guy off the street that just picked up a gun,
Right.
like constantly, and the guy's sleeping with the gun in his pants, no
Yeah.
holster, just in his pants. You're gonna. I mean, I know you heal,
Right.
but
But
I
why
mean,
why do
you
that to
want to
yourself
have
if
to
you
go
don't
through
have
that?
to?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I agree because so when they start off the movie for that mission and that they think they're going on in South Sudan, everybody has like holsters for their weapons. Do you know what I mean? Like they're
mhm,
all
yep.
outfitted. Like they've got the
Yep.
sword, they've got the axe, like everything has a place. And then suddenly throughout the rest of the movie, they're just like you said, shoving it in their pants or just,
Yep.
freestyle holding it. And why? Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
consistency.
Charlize Theron sets the parking brake on a flat surface, completely flat ground. I
Yeah.
don't know why. That was
Chris does
it's
that.
just stupid stuff. Oh, he does
It's
that?
so it's so weird.
Just
I think
leave it in gear.
I think it's honestly a remnant from when he had a manual car. Alan just said
Yeah, but you
manual
just
car.
put it in gear.
I know, but I don't know. Like I think it's just like a worry with a manual car that you just have, and it's just
I
like
guess.
yeah, it's just like leftover. It's very funny.
Yeah, manual car is just gonna roll away too in gear. It's just gonna. I don't know. It's okay. I get what you're saying, but because I
But
thought
yeah.
that's stupid. Like, yeah, we have a truck that's manual that has no parking brake. So
No,
there's
okay.
it's not even a choice. It's just
Sure,
like you're
yeah.
gonna leave it in gear, and that's what's gonna happen. So,
Sure.
um, let's see.
So do
Um,
you want to talk
I
about like the new character that gets like introduced basically in this that we
yeah, my notes for her were funny to
Yeah.
start because I was like, that one Marine that died acted well in her short bit,
Mhm.
and then oh, never mind.
Yeah. I
None of
was
that
I
was
was
funny.
also really shocked by that.
Yep.
Yeah, so obviously, we are introduced to this group of 4, where it's Charlize and 3 guys who've been together clearly for ages and ages, as a team, and then suddenly the focus of the movie completely shifts to a soldier in Afghanistan who's trying to like capture a prisoner, ends up killing him. He kills her right back. And we think, "Oh man, that's, kind of a random sequence." And then we see her like wake up, no marks on her from the throat
Yep.
slashing that she received. And we're clear that, okay, this is like another person that's coming to join the group. This is the new recruit who we're going to kind of like get deeper in with the original group, through. She's kind of our conduit into like introducing everything. So I thought she did a great job. Kiki
Yep.
Lane, who's
Yep.
playing Niles, she did great. I thought her acting was excellent.
Yep. I liked her in the role for sure. I liked
Hmm.
her fight scene with Charlize Theron, though I thought that she should have got gotten beat faster, like
Yes, I agree.
less of a fight, just because you have Charlize who's been alive for centuries,
Hmm.
and like the whole shtick with her is that being alive so long, having been in so many battles, I can take down an entire battalion worth of people single handedly.
Right.
But now this one newbie,
Hmm.
Marine, she has, like puts up a fight. I didn't
Right.
buy that, but it was a cool fight. So,
Yes. Yes, it was.
yep. Yeah, I liked her as an addition. You can see like they're clearly setting this up that if it does well, they'll do
Hmm.
another one,
Yeah,
you
for
know.
sure.
Um, so that I don't know what else to say about her other than she had the honors of doing the John Wick chamber check
Yeah.
maneuver. So that's fun. Um, I did like her moment
hmm
where she's like, I don't want to be a part of this because I
hmm
saw you just killed all those people in this room. Like this doesn't have, I'm not going to make
hmm
that choice.
Yeah.
Um, Now, obviously, in the setup they've given us, you kind of don't have a choice.
Right.
If you're going to be attacked and captured and that's it, then what
Right.
other choice do you have, really?
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of our, way into questioning like if this happened to you, how would you react? And,
mhm,
do you find her reactions believable? She just like can't believe it. She can't come to grips with it. She still thinks she has choices in the matter. And Charlize is like, guess what? You don't. I mean, you have choices about how to live your life, but you don't get to choose anymore whether or not this happens to you because it already happened. So probably
yep,
just like get over that because
yep,
you can't just give it back. You know, whatever power decides that you have it also decides when you don't. So,
yep.
as we see, of course, later in the movie. So,
What did you think of the missing member that was buried? The other,
oh, Queenie, I think,
yeah,
right? Um,
that's what
yeah,
I put. That's what I heard. But yeah,
yeah. They said it really fast. So I obviously felt terrible about what happened to her because
yeah,
drowning for how many years at the bottom of the ocean, that would be horrible and would drive you crazy, as they all say. But definitely saw her comeback coming. Like at the end of the movie where she like just shows up and surprises Booker out of nowhere because they were very specific about saying like, "Oh yeah, spending all that time down there would drive you crazy." They never
yeah,
said like anything about her dying or that they even
right.
suspected that she would have died. Like, yeah, sure, it's a possibility because, whatever immortality they're given could have been just like taken away at some point. But they're very deliberate in not saying that. So I definitely saw her like just popping up. Like I wasn't surprised at that kind of like big moment at the end.
I thought maybe that would be the setup for. So the way I saw it playing out in my head was okay. So Charlize is gonna die, and in her like honor, um, Niall is going to pick up the search.
Oh, sure, sure, sure.
You know,
Yeah.
uh, that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
I sort of imagined something similar as well. I was surprised when Charlize survived the movie because of course our
Oh
other
yeah,
big reveal in the movie is that her immortality has been taken away. So I
yeah,
definitely thought this was going to be like a passing the torch kind of thing. Like she dies,
hmm,
Niall lives, and doesn't necessarily like lead the group, but does something, to kind of carry them forward. So yeah, so I would have believed that for sure. But yeah, definitely not that element of the movie definitely surprised me because it wasn't, I think, the very typical way it could have shaken out.
yep. I think if they make a sequel, Charlize Theron will obviously be training up a new girl, and they'll be doing
Right.
all that, and then Quinn will come back and kill Charlize Theron, being
Mm,
angry you like left me there for however long, and
right.
so then it will be a battle there between them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
um,
for sure.
and maybe she'll do something like so. It's interesting. She seeks out Booker. I mean,
hmm
he's alone now or whatever.
Right.
So what's the end there? Like, oh,
Revenge.
you were kicked out, so we're gonna get together
Yeah.
and try to get, or you're alone, so I'm going to lock you up or whatever because you're vulnerable by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
But it wasn't an ambush, so
right. Yeah, I see it. I mean, it'll either go one of those two ways, I think. Like, yeah, let's go get the other members of the group. Or, Booker refuses and okay, well, you're on your own, so you're vulnerable. So let me just like get you out of the way.
yep. Hmm.
Um, Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't see Booker like betraying the group a second time necessarily because he seems sort of like, yeah, like I get it. I hate it and I don't want to be alone, but I betrayed y'all. So,
Yep.
he just seemed very accepting. So I just don't know that he like would go on this revenge quest, but I'm not the
It
writer.
would
So,
be it would be the wrong choice, I think, writing wise,
yes, I
to
agree.
set that up that there is a punishment and a forgiveness, and then in the next film to negate that. That wouldn't
Yes.
which to me was the most. There was a couple, like my most powerful moments, I guess,
Mhm.
or effective ones, was that goodbye
Mhm.
with Charlize and Booker, because um like he says, I'm not going to see you again, and she says, have hope or whatever, faith. but
Right?
but that was sad, I thought.
Mhm.
um and then the yeah, the whole story with her drowning and
Yeah.
over and over, and just seeing how she was taken, and that whole thing was powerful to me and well
Mhm.
done.
Yeah.
So those are probably my, other than like cool fight scenes, those are my favorite
Mhm.
parts of the film.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
I would agree. Like those were the most emotionally impactful,
mhm.
for sure. I did enjoy on the flip side of, deeply emotional, in I guess maybe emotional in a different way. I did enjoy, um, the other two, Nikki and, oh my gosh, his boyfriend. Why am I blanking on his name?
Oh yeah, the other two.
Yeah. I really enjoyed their moments together and how they were just like they really cared about one another and like just went off on that soldier who was like, "Oh, is this your boyfriend?" Like,
Mm,
and he was just like, "You can't even like comprehend what this guy means to me. Like he's been my partner for like centuries. Like don't even try to
mm,
play games with me. Like you're trying to make me feel bad that this is my boyfriend and that I'm gay and I don't know. I
mm.
just like enjoyed their whole dynamic. I thought they brought a little bit of lightness to it, especially um
Yeah.
when they killed like the lead mercenary and he's like, shouldn't have shot my boyfriend.
Yep.
So there I
Yep.
thought theirs was a very like grounded Joe, thank you, thank you. I knew it was like a short like Joe or Rob or something.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I enjoyed their dynamic. I thought they brought like a little bit of playfulness, to scenes. And then also like it was kind of wonderful to see that, these two people could have this like beautiful connection. Even, even
Yeah, it
among
was.
like immortals, like, there's a possibility.
Yeah, it's pretty lucky, really.
Yeah, no kidding.
You're, you know. So yeah, I that scene did a good job, because it was it was serious, but
Mhm.
then it transformed quickly to like you said, that lighthearted element.
Yep.
So when they pull them apart, that's kind of funny, and then when the truck opens up and they're all knocked out,
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed their like banter, like getting on the Merrick plane to be taken wherever they were gonna go. Like, "Ooh, nice plane.
Yeah,
Oh my god, TV. Do you
yeah,
think they have champagne?" Like, it was just kind of
right.
fun because like they're both aware that they're being captured, but they're also immortal. So like, what are you really gonna do? Like, where's your
Yep.
threats? It was just like a very funny, like every time the soldiers would be like, "Oh, like we can beat you or we can shoot you," they're just like, "Cool, like go for
Yeah.
it."
Yep.
So I thought it was a very like real levity that they brought.
Yep. Um, any other big thoughts? I have again, tons of notes, just like little things or whatever, but
Mhm.
overall thoughts I feel like I've kind of covered.
Mhm.
I as we'd said, the film was well paced. I enjoyed how it kept moving. I enjoyed the action sequences. I thought it
Mhm.
was well acted. Um, I just had issue with the tone
Mhm.
inconsistency, or the kind of film it was.
Yeah.
And ultimately, what it ended up reminding me of is just a generic action film. It's kind of
Mhm.
like what Liam Neeson got stuck in the trap of. We talked about that
Yeah.
before. And just all these movies that, like, my dad always buys in the bargain bin.
Mhm.
It's like $2 or $5 or whatever, and it's just some movie starring Bruce Willis that you haven't heard of,
Mhm.
or something.
Totally.
That's what it kind of gave me in vibe, I guess, overall.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it yeah, I would say I agree. It's like one maybe like half step above like a generic action flick, just
Mhm.
because I thought like, the sort of Immortals plot was unique and at times used well, just not consistently well. Like it could have been really, really great. I think there are definitely moments that could have been elevated for sure to turn this into like a good, possibly great action flick. But yeah, I mean, I would say it was a little too generic
Yeah.
for, I don't know, maybe what I wanted it to be.
It needed a style to ooze. John
Yeah.
Wick oozes style. It
Mhm.
needed to like really feel stylistic and to lean into that. And then like when they do their little flashbacks in the
Mhm.
past war things and stuff, that could have been a lot more of the film. We could have seen and I didn't necessarily buy those either. Like I didn't feel like I
Mhm.
was in another time and place. Like could have worked to really set up that we're in a
Yeah.
new environment and like had some the only example other exception is the witch trials
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
what
say that
they're
too.
that would be the one exception, and we
Yeah,
got to
I
see
bought that.
the emotionality in there as
Mhm.
opposed to I'm just like in a new outfit and
Right,
riding a horse here and
right.
um
Yeah, I almost think that they kept things too vague.
mhm,
Charlize's character obviously doesn't answer a lot of questions about herself. She won't even own up to her age, like where she's from, you know, her experiences. And it was almost too vague. Yeah, Andromaki something. I can't remember the second part of her name. Um, or Andromaki. But yeah, it was almost too vague for me. Like I wanted a little bit more detail filled in about, their lives, maybe, the experiences that they've all gone through, maybe a flashback to something else that they did together, because yeah,
mhm,
there were a lot of like random like her character Andy's fighting, this other random battle over here and then a random battle over here, but it didn't necessarily add impact to the story until we
right,
got to, the witch trials.
yep, yep. I mean, it would have been cool to see like the movie open on a giant Roman battle or something like
Mhm.
that, and
Like
a
where she
couple of
first
them.
figures out she's immortal.
Yeah, or I don't know, because it felt like they kept adding these things to like, see, they're really old.
Yeah.
See how old they are?
Yep.
But it's like it didn't really make a difference. Yeah, I just think it like I say, it needed to lean into the fantasy um of it, the sci-fi of it.
Yep.
I liked the ambiguity of like, are we put here as immortals by God for like a
Mhm.
purpose, and now you're being allowed to rest as you're bringing another
Right.
one, or like that kind of thing. They could have leaned into
Yeah.
those things more. Um, but then in the end, it felt like uh, what's Jack Ryan,
Mhm.
or something.
Yeah.
But so, but
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely potential here. Solid movie. If they do make a sequel, I would watch it.
yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
interested where it goes. Like I say, they have questions that I could use answers to.
yeah.
So what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah. Well, hopefully it does well, and we get the opportunity to see what they have in store for us next. So
Indeed.
we need something when then nothing else is coming out. So
That's right.
yep. But all right, well we overshot goal a little bit, but definitely shorter than
Mhm.
other episodes.
For sure.
So look at us go.
That's right. Look at us condensing our thoughts, being concise. We can do it.
Yeah, I didn't feel concise. I ramble a lot, so we managed. So, but all right. Well, Monday is the next Cyberpunk Night City Wire event.
Mhm.
So everybody tune in for that. Not like it's just going to be streamed on CD Projekt Red's site, I suppose, and Jeff Keighley will probably cover it too. So
Mhm.
we'll give our thoughts on that next time.
Mhm.
And until then, you should like and comment and share on all the things: Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Check out our website. Thanks again to Killing the Flower for our theme song. You should take a look at their stuff at Instagram and on Spotify. And that'll be about it. You have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you too. Keep on being productive.
All right, I'll try. All right.
All
Talk to you
right.
later.
All right. Cheers, everybody.